Hello everyone and happy new year. I realized in the last video I didn't say that, and now we are in the last day of the first month of 2023. Crazy. I know. I still can't get over it. A month has already passed. Regardless, I'm happy you are here supporting me in my art journey. I started making these videos to document my journey to becoming a full-time creative person. And as a mostly self-taught artist, I want to be able to encourage others by sharing my process and struggles and everything in between. I find myself battling with insecurities and negative self talk about my art skills and where I am now versus where I want to be. That's why making art goals and planning out how I want to achieve these goals keeps me balanced when those self doubt thoughts creep in. I started the year by purging old art I've been holding on to for years. I keep most of my paintings in a photo album to keep them safe. But I figured since I want to make new art, I have to get rid of some of the old ones I've been holding on to for a very long time. Some of these art pieces have special meanings to me, and when I take them out and look at them, I'm transported back to the time and my emotional state when I made them. Some of these memories are good and some of them are bad, but I'm grateful that these paintings will live on here on the internet. So I have a chance to look back on them when I feel a little bit sad and don't feel like I've made any progress in my art. I would love to, if possible, recycle these paintings into handmade paper. I'm not sure if it's possible, but I would like to try. Some of these paintings I've had since high school, like this one where I used acrylic to paint on paper, and this one here. Most of these are old school assignments. This one is more recent, so is this one. Coming up is my very first portrait painting, also done in acrylic. Back then, I had some faux locks, and I also didn't really know how to paint a portrait, so this was very interesting. I remember my art teacher not being very happy that I painted like both halves of my face in blue, and I don't know, I kind of like it. I feel like blue has always been a part of my art, even back then. Going into the new year, I have lots of art goals and ways to achieve them. One of those goals is to finish at least 4 sketchbooks this year. Last year, I only finished one sketchbook, and it's the sketchbook right now that I'm showing you. I started the sketchbook in 2021 with the goal to practice anatomy. I know that my skills, if you can call that a skill or lack thereof, with anatomy and drawing figures is very much lacking, and it still needs some fine tuning even now. But back then, I was like, I should start with just doing some gesture drawings, learning how to draw different parts of the body, and get better at drawing anatomy. But I didn't really have a reason why I wanted to get better at anatomy. I just knew that great artists are good at drawing the figures, so I wanted to get better at drawing the figures. It wasn't until January of 2022 that I finally took a step back and said, hey, we got to figure out what we're wanting to do here. We can't just be drawing everything and figuring it out. So I decided to embark on a 1 month journey on Skillshare and learn how to draw heads. So I spent 1 month on Skillshare taking different classes, learning how to construct a human head. I felt like it really helped me see the planes of the head that I was missing. I was missing how these little points connected with each other, and taking these classes definitely helped me figure out how these points of the face connected to each other, so I was able to capture likeness in a better way than I was before. The only issue with that was I was learning how to draw heads, but I wasn't learning how to paint them. And I did take another class learning how to draw heads, and that would have been a really good class to learn how to just paint a face too, because it went over like the shadow shapes and how to define the head, just kind of pointing out those shapes of the head using shadow and shading, and that would have been a perfect way to learn how to paint as well. So I think I might actually go back and do another month of Skillshare, just refreshing how to draw heads and how to capture likeness, because that's one of my goals. Is I want to be able to capture human likeness a little bit better, not completely. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, yes, I know that face, but I want people to be like, yes, I know that's a face, if that makes any sense. Some of these drawings may seem familiar. There were initial sketches for paintings that I ended up completing. Some of them didn't go past the idea phase, but hopefully I can go back to them when I feel more comfortable drawing whatever subject I wasn't feeling comfortable drawing, and hopefully be able to make these ideas come to life. I definitely took my time while completing this sketchbook, which, don't get me wrong, is not a bad thing. You don't have to put your sketchbook on a time limit like I'm doing right now. I work in many different sketchbooks all at once, so sometimes I'm filling up pages of one sketchbook because all I want to do is sketch, while in another sketchbook I'm painting because that paper is better for painting and not sketching. So it really just depends. I recommend having multiple sketchbooks just because some sketchbooks serve different purposes. And if you are an artist on the internet like I am, maybe you share your sketchbooks and want other people to see beautiful spreads. I personally don't share sketchbook spreads unless it's like now, like a little sketchbook tour, because my intention originally was not to share this sketchbook at all. Like, it was gonna, collect us somewhere, but I decided to share it because I think it's important to show the non-glamorous sketchbooks sometimes, the ones that are not meant to be seen as beautiful spreads. Most of these are just experiments. Some of them are ideas. Some of them are just, paint swatches while I was painting. A sketchbook can be anything you want it to be. I just want to be able to, complete more than just one a year. And maybe you can join me on that journey. We can, complete some sketchbooks together. Because I work in so many different sketchbooks all at the same time, a lot of my sketchbooks serve me in different ways. So for this landscape sketchbook, I originally planned on just painting landscapes in it, and eventually I just altogether stopped using it for that purpose because I'm not a landscape artist yet. I mean, would I like to dabble into some landscapes? Yes, but my overall art goal was not to paint landscapes. So, of course, the sketchbook didn't serve me, so I didn't use it. Allowing myself now to use my sketchbook in a way that serves me makes it a lot easier to pick that sketchbook up and actually use it. So this painting is just a study of some black swans. That I will leave a link to the reference photo down below if you're interested in also painting some black swans. I recently promised a friend of mine that I would paint her original painting of black swans. She is very much a birder, and she remarked that she doesn't see a lot of black swans depicted in art. So I wanted to surprise her with a black swan painting, but I've never gotten around to doing anything about it because I've been, so focused on, one subject, painting portraits. But now I want to delve into painting animals. I love animals. I have a lot of them and I work with them. And I want animals to be a part of my painting because it is such a big part of my life. So these black swans are just the beginning of a very long journey to eventually get an original painting out there for my friend. So if she's watching, I'm practicing for you. I am doing this for you and for myself, but mostly for you. My second art goal is to make time to practice. I really want to get better at watercolors and water control. I have fallen in love, well, back in love with watercolors, and especially with granulating watercolors. I find them very interesting and I want to be able to use them more in my artwork. My third art goal is to incorporate more figures into my work. I want to be able to express more, and I feel like I'll be able to do that with more dynamic posing of figures in my work going forward. So here's a little sneak peek, and I'm really excited to get started painting. So, we can't talk about art goals without talking about some art failures. Because, we all fail a little bit in life, and, we let lifestyle creep happen. We get influenced by popular things we see on the internet. And that's what happened to me. I got influenced by the internet to buy Himi gouache because I thought, I don't want to use my expensive gouache in my sketchbook. I'll just buy some cheap gouache that I wouldn't mind using in my sketchbook. And that means I'll use my sketchbook more and have pretty art to show. But I ended up not using them very often at all, really. And it's because I'm spoiled. I am spoiled. I will admit that. I enjoy the way artist quality gouache feels when I paint with it, and I can immediately tell the difference. And when I went to go use those gouache again, it got moldy, and I don't know what I did. And maybe I closed it up with too much moisture, and yeah, mold started growing, and it really smelled pretty bad, so I had to dump them. Yeah, so a little bit of a fail. Another art fail was buying brushes, and I don't have any use for them. I have so many paintbrushes, some of them I've had for years, and I don't really take good care of my brushes. I will be the first to admit that. yeah, that was kind of a art fail, but I'm not gonna toss away some new brushes. I'm gonna find some use for them. You're probably wondering how I'm keeping track of all these goals and aspirations I have for 2023. Well, I would like to introduce you to my little Notion page here. This is my goals and tasks page where I keep track of everything that I want to do, and I break everything down into quarters. So I have my overall goals that I can check off because it's super satisfying. And then I have my quarterly goals. And those are to keep me in check and in line with where I want to go in my art journey. One of my biggest goals is to make at least 10 art pieces that look cohesive. Last year, my only goal was to improve my portrait painting. I wanted to get better at drawing portraits so I could get better at painting them. And I feel like all of my art is slightly different in a very unique way. I would love to have 10 pieces that are very similar in style and you know that they are my artwork. As I flip through all of my favorite paintings from the end of the year to the very beginning of the year, I noticed some similarities. I also notice a lot of differences, and I want to get closer to having all of my paintings kind of have a similar vibe and feel to them. So I hope you stick along for another year of following my art journey. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Take care.